After 10 years of doing sales, I did 4 years of door-to-door, going literally door-to-door selling home security systems. After that, I did a year of pre-selling a software product that actually never was built, completely failed business. And since then, for the past 5.5, 6 years, I've been selling digital services, SEO, websites, social media management, and of course, lead generation. And now my latest is my program, Digital Landlords. I am here to tell you about the quickest way to lose a deal. And my friends, that is by being desperate. By being desperate. It is a smell. Guys, when somebody is desperate, you can smell it, okay? And when I was doing door-to-door sales, I first heard this term. I heard this term called sales breath. And the trainer, our manager, was like, guys, just don't have sales breath, man. It stinks. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? And it paints such this nasty picture. But guys, when you have sales breath, when you have sales breath, when you have desperation, not only can people feel it, they can smell it. They can smell it all over. And if you think that they can't, you're wrong. They can smell it. They know when you need that deal. The quickest way to lose a deal is by letting the customer see and know and feel how bad you need that deal. And I know when you haven't gotten a deal in a while, or when you're chasing your first deal, or when you've been in a rut, or whatever's been happening, it is super hard to act like you don't need the deal. But the key to this whole thing is to making it seem and putting on and portraying you do not need that deal. That the business owner, needs that deal worse than you need the deal. And if you can show them that, and you can get them to believe that, you will close the deal. And it kind of comes back to this principle of the what is the principle called? I always call it the law of control. I don't know if that's what it's called, but the person, he or she, who cares or appears to care the least has all the control, and therefore will usually win the deal. Now, it's funny because I've been saying this forever. I heard this sales breath and desperation concept, 10 years ago. Last night, I was reading from one of the best books I've ever read, by the way, guys. You guys have got to check out this book. It's a girthy one. It's a big one. It's a fatty. It's called Titan. It's about John D. Rockefeller and his life. And I was reading, and they was talking about one of John D. Rockefeller's skill sets. If you guys don't know who John D. Rockefeller is, arguably the richest man to ever live. He had a company called Standard Oil, which was split apart into 12 different companies. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, some of those companies are Exxon and Shell, like a bunch of the companies that you've heard of. They were all part of this massive conglomerate. It was called Standard Oil. Big deal with the courts. They said they were monopolizing. Anyway, you guys got to get in and do your research. Phenomenal book, fascinating dude. So much to learn from somebody like that. Anyway, I was reading this book, and it said that one of the things that John D. was so good at is he was so good at getting money. And he got money because he played the game. And it talked about this one specific instance where he needed like $15,000. Like, I think he was purchasing a refinery. Okay, he was in growth mode. He was purchasing a refinery, and he needed like $15,000. And the same day, it was due that day, or it was due very soon. He needed that money like really desperately. He was like $15,000 short, and he had a really good relationship with a lot of banks. And he ran into I think it was one of the bank, maybe it was the president or something like that. And the guy literally said to him, he said, "Hey, John, if I could get you $50,000, not 15, but $50,000, could you use it?" He was so good at this game that instead of going, "Oh yeah, it's funny you say that, I needed 15 grand. Guess what he said? He said, "That's an interesting question. Give me 24 hours and let me see if there's a place that I could use that, and I'll get back with you." And so instead of taking the money, instead of even letting him know, he risked the chance. And I'm sure he was sitting there going, "Dude, I want that money so bad. I just need that $15,000. This is God giving me that money, and this is my prayers answered." He played the game, and he pushed back. He pushed and he did the pullback. And he basically is like, I just don't know if I need it. And he made the person that was offering, the bank that was offering the $50,000, make it seem like they needed him more than he needed them. Okay, even though that wasn't the case, guys, he or she who cares or appears to care the least has all the control, and that's the person that's going to get the deal. That is the quickest way to lose a deal. But if you can learn to master, if you can learn to put on this facade at times, because sometimes you're actually not going to need the deal, and you're gonna genuinely be able to convince them because it's how you feel. But most of the time, you're going to want the deal. And you need to show up to your calls. You need to show up to your cold calls. You need to show up to your sales calls. You need to show up to your Zooms. And you need to lead on. You need to act as if you do this every single day. If you're not already, you should be. But if you're not, you need to be acting like you do this every single day. This is not a big deal. If they don't do this deal, no harm, no foul. I'm on to the next one. If you can get in that mentality, and guys, you know what's interesting? This applies to a lot of things. This applies to other areas of life. If you want to get other things, I'll just leave it at that. You guys can use your imagination. You can get other things by using this exact same strategy. But when it comes to getting sales, guys, if you can master the law of control, if you can master not acting desperate, even if you need that deal so bad to prove to your mom or your wife or your husband or your kids that you can do this, you got to remain calm, and you have to remind yourself that if you lead on that you need that deal more than they need the deal, you are going to risk losing the deal. Remember John D. Rockefeller, one of the richest men in history. Remember that story. And guys, do not be desperate. Do not have sales breath. Act like you do this every day of the week. Act like it's just another deal. And if they take it, awesome. If not, it's going to be their competitor. And if it's not them, it's going to be the next guy. And you're going to be doing a deal after this and a deal tomorrow and a deal the next day. And if you act like that, eventually you will start to tell yourself that enough that you will start to believe it. Put on that facade. Portray that energy that you do not need it, and you will see yourself closing more deals.